Hey guys, I hope you're all keeping health and safety in your forefront of your mind, and in the meantime while you're doing that, I'm going to show you the recipe I made up from scratch recently for a very nice protein-packed and healthy and hearty vegetarian curry. Now, I'm not a vegetarian myself. This is just a recipe I thought up of that can make the most of some of the ingredients you might have lying around in your cupboard, as well as some of the spices lying around that you might have forgotten about as well. So try this out, see what you think, and let me know as well if you guys have any additions you made to it yourself in the comment section below. Anyway, on with the show.
Now, the ingredients you will need are as such. You'll need basmati rice, which we're going to boil in some simple water with a bit of salt in it. Organic caraway seeds, probably about anywhere between 5 to 15 grams. About 2 to 5 grams of green cardamom seeds. Some vegetarian mince. 400 gram tin of reduced fat coconut milk. 400 gram tin of boiled kala chana. 400 gram tin of chopped tomatoes. A couple of nice red peppers. Desiccated chili flakes. Homemade curry paste, probably about 150 to 250 grams of that, bulb of garlic, 1 large white onion, some salt for tasting, and obviously some oil to fry the initial bits and pieces in. Now, I made this jar of homemade curry paste out of a mixture of oil, ground cumin, garam masala, desiccated chili flakes, salt, ground allspice, and as well as some curry powder, and I put in about 5 to 7.5 grams of each and a couple of tablespoons of the vegetable oil. And if it was like not sort of pasty enough and it just ended up becoming sort of like semi-paste but also very dry, then just add in another couple of teaspoons of the oil and close up the lid on the jar, shake it around, and then keep it chilled in your fridge until it's ready by wrapping the jar in a bit of cling film. Then first things first, you'll need to get a couple of bits of equipment. Obviously, we've got a saucepan here for the rice, and we've got a frying pan here for the curry sauce. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the frying pan onto one of the large hobs here, and we're going to turn it up to the second highest or the highest heat and chuck in some oil. As you'll see here, I've already peeled the onion. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to chop it like this, so that, here we are, and then what you want to do is you want to keep the root bit intact. So we're then going to cut lengthways just up into the root bit, like so, probably about half a dozen times or so, and then cut into it lengthways. Now keep your hand very tight on the onion and very steady, and then you do it like this. And the way that I do this adds the benefits of getting more of the flesh of the onion in a more efficient way, and it's also slightly safer to do as well, because it creates a little bit more stability when you're cutting the onion. And I really recommend everyone at home does this. Okay, now, as you can see here, we've got a jar of initial spices. We've got about a heaped teaspoon of the caraway seeds. We've got 8 of the cardamom seeds, and then we've got 1.5 heaped tablespoons of the chili flakes. So we're going to take these over to the pan of heated up oil. I'm going to sort of like just chuck them in there, and then we're going to sort of like, see, we're just going to sort of like mix all that around, and that's going to just get toasted, and then we're going to sort of like lightly mix it around a bit while we're at it as well, and this is going to create the base of the curry. And while we're at it, I might also mention that you might want to chuck in some coriander leaves at any point if you're interested. So at the point when the chili flakes start to darken a bit, you guys might want to then chuck in the onions with about 12 shakes of salt, then maybe a little bit of oil as well, just to make sure that it doesn't burn, and possibly turn down the heat slightly as well. Right, so now we've got the onions on cooking. What you want to do is then you want to fill up for, this is just kind of for one person, a coffee mug with halfway up with the rice, chuck it in there, and then I've run the cold tap a little bit, so chuck some water in there, get it to about centimetre. Then what you're going to want to do, and make sure you have really clean hands for this, you're going to sort of want to whisk it around with your hand about 3 or 4 times, and then sort of cup your hand around the edge and pour out the water. And this is basically just to wash the rice and make sure it's ready to cook. Okay, so now we've got the garlic all peeled and ready, and we've already washed and prepared the water. We're going to put it on to boil in a little bit. But first with the garlic, you're just going to need to use the flat of the knife to crush it, and then you're going to sort of break it up a bit with your hands like this. See? Like we're going to showcase with this little one here. You're going to want to do this with about 6 cloves of garlic. And then you're just going to chuck it right in the onions over there. Okay, so I've prepared the peppers. Now what I did is I cut the tops off, then I cut them in half, de-seeded them, washed them, and then I cut them up into 1 centimetre wide strips. I'm going to chuck them in the onion mix, which by this point has been gently frying away at medium heat for about 10 to 15 minutes. Now, at the time when you do this, after the onion mix has been cooking for about 10 to 15 minutes, you want to then start the rice onto boil. You whack it straight up to the highest heat with about 1 centimetre to 1.5 centimetres of water over it, with a bit of salt and maybe some seasoning in it. So, as you can see here, I've put in some dried coriander leaves and about 8 shakes of salt. So that's my recommended way of doing rice for this recipe. Okay, so now at the time when the rice is boiling, what you're going to want to do is you're going to turn it down by about 1/3 to 1/2. So I'm going to turn it down by about half. And then, because I haven't got a lid for the saucepan, I'm going to use a plate. And then I'm going to put the plate over the rice. And then what you're going to do is you're going to want to just check on the rice every now and again, make sure it doesn't burn, and you want to make sure it's all done and ready when the rice has absorbed all the water and then there's no more level of water above the rice. Now you're able to add a little bit of water if you need to, just to prevent it from drying out completely and prevent it from being undercooked. And then at the same time that happens, you want to chuck your curry paste into the main curry mix right here, and then just mix it all in. Leave it to cook for about 5 minutes, and then chuck in the reduced fat coconut milk, the tinned tomatoes, and then depending on how it tastes, maybe a bit of coriander, salt, and chili flakes. Okay, so the rice has been on the boil for nearly 20 minutes to half an hour now. Now, what you want to do is at this point you want to lift up the lid and you see, right, so it's absorbed pretty much all the water, or at least there's only a tiny bit left. Now, put the lid back on. And what you then want to do is you want to put a little spoon in there, taste it, and see if it's soft, but it's got a little bit of sort of firmness to it, and that's when you know the rice is cooked. Then when it gets to that point, you want to go to the hob and turn it off. Leave it on there for the remainder of the time that the samosas are cooking in the oven, and then you're sorted.
Now, the point I would recommend that you put any of the samosas that you might have wanted to bake to have along with this curry would be to put them in the oven when you start boiling the rice, or when it gets to the point where it's boiling. Now, I think this recipe generally tends to go best with a nice ice cold beer when you serve it up. I would recommend serving it with an ice cold bottle of Cobra or Kingfisher, and as you can see from this picture, I would also recommend serving it with some mango chutney and a bit of either plain or butter naan. Now, this is a pretty basic recipe that I made up from scratch, so if anyone has any additions to it or suggestions that can be made to it, please share them in the comments section below so everyone can partake in some adaptations. Now, I'm going to head off now and have a rest because I've been editing this video for quite a bit, but as always, if you guys did like this video, leave a like, share and subscribe. Let me know any suggestions for cooking videos and reviews of food and drink related products in the comments section below, as well as any ideas for other kinds of videos you think might be appropriate for this channel in the future, and I'll have a look at them and I'll see what I can do. Can't promise anything, but I'll have a look. And then if you're interested in any of my other online activities, I'm going to put links to my Twitter, Instagram and other YouTube channels in the video description below, as well as my blogspot. The lattermost of those things where I recently posted a text-based recipe of this recipe that you can have a look at if you want to, after this video is done, just have a bit more time to relax and get to grips with doing it in your own time and at your own pace. And yeah, until next time, I've been Uncle Ted in the kitchen, And whatever happens, guys, stay safe, have fun with whatever you're doing, eat healthily, eat well, eat enjoyable, and I'll see you guys in the kitchen next time. Bye bye for now.